What's going on, guys, and welcome back to another video. So over the past few weeks, I've heard the same question get asked over and over again. Those are we gonna receive a fourth stimulus check? Will more stimulus to the American people finally come? So I'm gonna address this. There are discussions on additional stimulus to the American people. It's just not a stimulus check. It really gives you the truth behind additional benefits, what we're seeing there. At this time, the stimulus checks are not even being discussed, and there are multiple reasons behind this. Now, there are other benefits that are being discussed. For instance, child tax credit payments are so high up on the list of Democrats' priorities. It's also something that Republicans want to get done as well. But in order to give the child tax credit payment, the money has to come from somewhere else. And according to Senator Mitt Romney, he is proposing to pull the money from other government programs like TANF and stuff like that. And at this time, that's not something that Democrats really want to explore. We also know earned income tax credits are still on the table. More tax deductions not only help stimulate the economy, but also provide incentives to buy certain products, which stimulates the economy but also helps the American people. Another provision is pre-K, and this is actually a pretty big one, because a lot of people are thinking, why? How does this really help? What does this do? Here's the reason why a universal pre-K would actually help, because this is putting 3 or 4-year-olds in school. But what this actually does is, this provides parents a way to almost get free childcare instead of going to pay for a daycare service, because they can now drop that guy off the pre-K, pre-kindergarten. So you can start doing that instead of paying whatever it costs to go and drop the child off. So that's actually seen as a pretty big incentive and a pretty big benefit to parents with younger children. Another one is paid family and medical leave. Now, the discussions at this point are anywhere between 4 to 8 weeks has been considered as the most likely outcome. 4 weeks was a thing that was pretty much being discussed a few months ago. What lawmakers want to see, what most Democrats won't see, is an increase to that, not just 4 weeks. Seen between 4 to 8 weeks, with the preferred method being really 8 weeks. So we'll see if most likely it's going to be 4 weeks or possibly 6 weeks. I don't think it's going to be double to 8 weeks. The reason it was cut down to just 4 is because they were trying to make it less expensive, which would mean Senator Joe Manchin would like to get on board with it, 4 weeks. But he's not really on board with passing things that is going to be temporary, and that's a real issue. Another thing is climate change. There were a lot of incentives that would go into something to go more green, and so we don't know what the language is going to look like as far as climate change bill. But what I can tell you is it's probably going to be the biggest portion of this bill. Now, here's the question I got the other day, and I want to touch on this. Why can't Congress pass another bill to include more to the American people? So they're not specifically asking about stimulus checks. They're talking about just more to the American people. Why can't they do it? Well, they can. But here's the argument. What would this do to inflation? If Congress could pass another bill to provide additional benefits to the American people, but if they could do this without risking the rising inflation and increasing the national deficit, then honestly, I personally believe they would do that in a heartbeat. But that's not the world that we live in. Anything that they do is gonna cause potentially additional inflation. But the problem right now is the money has to come from somewhere. And I know a lot of people are gonna point this out, and many people have said this. Just take it from the billionaires who previously in the past couple of years have made billions of dollars during a pandemic. That's the simplest thing. And Senator Joe Manchin is actually for this. It's Senator Kristen Sinema that says, no, we're not gonna take it from the billionaires. But there's the counter to this as well, which makes it so confusing. That is when billionaires pay more in taxes as a business owner. But when you pay more in taxes, then you will most likely spend less for things like R&D, your research and development, or even expansion. You might not hire as many employees, which means less jobs, and which also means less economic output. So by saying billionaires would just pay more, what if Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos all had to pay more money? Would Jeff Bezos be willing to risk his reputation and all the billions and billions of dollars by trying to expand Amazon even further? Maybe not. Maybe he just says, you know what, we're good there. I'm just gonna work on my space travel. That's all I wanna do. What if Elon Musk did the same thing? I don't think he will, because he wants to get more gigafactories. But what if we decided, you know what, I think we're good. We're good right there. I made enough money, made a lot of changes in my life. Let's not hire any more employees. That would greatly hurt the United States. So right now, it's about trying to find a balance between the two sides. Do we tax billionaires? And how much do we tax them? Because you want to tax them a little bit, you want to get a little piece of that back. But at the same time, you tax them too much. What if they decide, you know what, you're here in the United States, it's just not working. I gotta get out of here, I gotta move my company elsewhere. Now, that'd be a tough thing to do in this current climate, but it's possible. So right now, lawmakers are just struggling to come up with an agreement on just about everything. They just don't know exactly what to do. So the truth behind additional benefits is this: lawmakers want to pass more, but is what kind of benefits would they agree on? And I touched on this, that right now, progressives want more there. They're behind Senator Joe Manchin. They support the idea of scaling back the bill and ultimately getting passed. But the problem is, what would be in the bill? Yet we support the framework that Joe Manchin has laid down, but there's going to be caveats. And so what are those caveats going to be? Honestly, I don't know. We could speculate and I could guess. But here's what I can tell you, that we'll see more for the American people. But it probably will not come until after we see more of a resolution as to what's going to happen with this Russia and Ukraine conflict. That's the biggest thing. And I addressed that the Russia-Ukraine conflict is the #1 priority for the White House, for President Biden, and for Congress. But then Congress also has to worry about inflation. And whatever they do, will it impact inflation or national deficit? They got worried about the Supreme Court confirmation. They got to worry about our government funding bill in just 4 days, on the 11th. So 5 days. Is this going to expire? And Senate has a lot of work to do. So what I can tell you is their back is against the wall. And the last thing I could expect they're thinking about is providing additional benefits to the American people. But will it come in the near future? It will. Many expect it. Many experts. So that's what we know. As I know more, I promise I'll come back to share all this news and updates. If you have any questions whatsoever, you can always ask the questions down in the comment section below. Thank you guys for watching. Have a wonderful day, and I'll see you again.